Hola, ¿qué tal, gente bonita que está con nosotros? Estamos ahora, señores, en el podcast, en la Bamba Radio y al Chile. Hoy tenemos un invitado muy especial que es el juez Erik Jacobs, juez de circuito aquí en Winnebago. Good afternoon, Judge Erik Jacobs. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. We honor to have you here to discuss some important topics that affect the Latino community in Illinois.
Well, thank you very much, and truly the honor is all mine.
Could you tell us about the biggest challenges the Latino community encounters when it comes to accessing justice in our counties?
You know, there's a lot of barriers, I think, that the Latino community has in accessing justice. A lot of that depends on whether you're a first-generation American, a second-generation, or third-generation. But I think the biggest problem that I see is for some of our newer members of the community. And those problems are language barriers and also a lack of understanding of the legal system. Most of the folks that come before me don't have money to hire a lawyer. And so I couldn't imagine, going to another country and having to participate in a legal system that I don't understand in a language that I don't understand. So I think that is the biggest barrier that I see.
How would your office work to make sure that the Spanish speakers, as you mentioned before, have access to good translation and interpretation services in the courtroom?
Well, we have very good translators. We have, I think, 4 Spanish translators. And if they are unavailable, oftentimes we can access translation services through an organization called Language Line, and that would be over telephone. And then sometimes we have translators that come in on Zoom. I speak a little bit, hablo poquito de español, también puedo leer en español.
Oh, muy bien.
Yeah, sí. But it's very difficult for me, and I can't really do a complete, sorry, mi gato quiero hablar conmigo. And so, we'll have language translation services that way. Now, there have been times when I've been short translator, and what I'll try and do is I'll try and make my way through, the court appearance as best I can. But one of the problems with that is that we have electronic court reporting, and so everything recorded, and we have court reporters that would go ahead then and put down everything in writing and have a transcript of the proceeding if it's ever ordered. And I'm not sure that they can, they're not translators, they're court reporters. And so I do have to try and conduct the hearings in English. Now, what I do is I greet everyone that comes in front of me if they're a Spanish-speaking person with a translator.
Thank you.
I greet them in Spanish, talk to them a little bit in Spanish just to kind of relax them. And then I go into English to do the hearing or whatever proceeding we have that day. And then I usually say goodbye to them in Spanish.
Judge, what inspired you to seek re-election as a circuit judge in Winnebago County?
Well, I began my career as a law clerk for a federal judge. That was 32 years ago. And so I spent 2 years clerking for a judge. And then I spent about 30 years working as a lawyer.
Wow.
And so I've helped thousands of people over those years and amassed a lot of knowledge and experience along the way. And last year, when a circuit judge retired, the Illinois Supreme Court unanimously appointed me to fill that judge's spot. Yeah, it was really an honor. But for me, my career path, public service is important. And I feel that now I can best help the community by continuing to serve in my capacity as a judge.
Sir, looking back at your time as a judge, what have been the most significant challenges and accomplishments your experience?
Boy, I would say, some of the challenges, really the volume. There is so much legal work that we have, so many cases that I have to address on a daily basis.
Wow.
That was a true challenge to overcome. I think the language barrier is a challenge. Not only do we have a very significant Latino community, but we have people that need, translation services into Swahili, French, Turkish, Polish, Russian. And so I think that becomes a problem too, because we have to find the translators that are certified, to make sure that these people have equal access to justice. And so that can be a challenge. Also, I think one of the biggest challenges is making sure that people understand the process that they're going to be going. I want to make sure that they, have a good understanding of what the proceedings are going to be, how they can participate. In other words, I'm just trying to make it very transparent. I think, solving problems for people is a thing that I really, really enjoy doing. And so if I have somebody that comes in front of me, and let's say that they don't have a driver's license, and, they get a ticket for driving, without a license, and they could face, a huge fine and then not have the ability to drive for a number of years. And so what I do typically, with the help of a prosecutor in my courtroom, is I would go work with those people, figure out why the license was suspended, or if they never had a license, what they need to do to get one. And I give them time to do that. And you can't believe, how many people come back and they hold their driver's license or their TVDL up and they're smiling, they're happy, because the problem's now been solved. They don't have to drive without a license any longer. They don't have to worry about getting from, their house in Rockton or Roscoe to Rockford, because we don't have buses to do that. Mm-hmm. One of the things also I did is when I was doing traffic court, I brought in a manager from the Secretary of State's office. She ran 15 different offices. I brought her to court to listen to me and make sure that she understands the problems that I'm dealing with and the information that I'm telling people, so that she can share that with folks in her office, and she can also let me know what barriers they have on their end. And so I think that was really a very beneficial thing to do. Also, she gave me a lot of literature in Spanish that I'm able to give to people in court.
Judge, what advice would you give to Latino citizens who wants to become more involved in our judicial system?
Boy, we have a huge need for more involvement from the Latino community, and whether that is as paralegals, interpreters, what have you, we need people that can help the Latino community understand and navigate their way through the court system. Now, I know we've got organizations like La Voz Latina, Rockford Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but I think what's really needed is a legal services organization, something like Prairie State Legal, except one that's geared strictly to the Latino community. And that organization, if somebody has the desire to start up a not-for-profit that would do that, that would be great. Because you could have a repository of information that people can go to and see and figure out how best they can participate in the legal system and handle their legal problems. So I think that's very important, and that would be just a huge shot in the arm, I think, for the legal the Latino community in dealing with legal problems.
Judge Jacobs, do you have any message you'd like to share with the Latino community and listeners today?
Yeah, I would say get involved. Do what you can to help out everybody else, particularly those that are new here and don't have a good command of the English language. Oftentimes people bring friends to court, that will interpret for them, or family members. But that, I think, is something that is well needed. That's my biggest advice.
Judge Jacobs, is there a way to learn more about you? Do you have social media or a website?
I do. JudgeErikJacobs.com. And so that would be Judge, and then my first name is Erik, and Jacobs, JACOBS.com. And I'm also on Facebook.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you again for your time, Judge Jacobs, and for sharing your insights with us. We wish you the best in your continued work.
Well, thank you. And I would please remind everybody to get registered to vote. Your voice makes a difference. My election is on November 5th. And, I am el juez para toda la gente.
Eso.
And gracias y que tengan un buen día.
Nosotros regresamos con mucho más. Esto fue Al Chile, el podcast. Gracias. Si les gustó este podcast, síguenos con más. Nosotros regresamos.